In Kenya today, freedom of expression is louder than ever, but so is the harm it can cause. From protests on the streets to pixels on our phones, speech has power. The question is no longer whether people can speak, but how far that speech can go before it becomes dangerous.
One can only imagine what happened here, but it looks horrific. Probably the family living in that house, in a desperate bid to get away, came running through their field. They dropped their personal effects, items of clothing. You can see over here their health cards, and even here is someone's voter's card. It was probably a terrifying experience, and a few meters up from where I am over there, there's a dead body.
Where does free speech end and where does hate speech begin? This is a question courts, activists, politicians and ordinary citizens are still struggling to answer. So what exactly counts as hate speech?
Hate speech is speech that is used to harm or misconstrue someone's life, way of being and activities. Free speech is when you basically articulate your ideologies on social reforms, social change, and basically when you give out your own perspective.
The freedom of speech that is under the Constitution is broad. When you talk about the boundaries between freedom of expression and hate speech, the freedom of expression is there in the Constitution, okay? But the same Constitution, and they also, have limitations.
When you criticize me and the work that I do or my methods, that's criticism. But if you call upon harm for me and my family, that's not hate speech.
The difference basically is one is vindictive and the other one is expressive.
Hate speech is not just spoken, it is written online, performed in public and amplified through media and viral content. Kenya has 27.4 million active internet users, nearly half the population. And with that digital presence comes power. Power to inform.
Here's everything you need to know about the Finance Bill 2025.
To mobilize.
Youth be you.
But also to divide. Between 2019 and 2020, researchers documented over 85,000 instances of hateful content targeting ethnicity, religion, and political affiliation. During the 2022 general elections period, reported online hate speech cases rose by 20%, with TikTok emerging as a major hotspot.
I've realized I can't go to sleep without getting this off my chest. Boniface Mwangi, I've seen you claiming you're gonna be in CBD on June 25th, petition to Parliament. No, let me say this. If we see you in the streets on June 25th, we will lynch you. This time you're not getting off with a smack. You won't get off with a smack, then run and hide in the nation center. We will kill you in Nairobi.
Boniface Mwangi has lived on both sides of the line. An activist, an artist, a provocateur. His work has unsettled power and polarized opinion. From exhibitions on post-election violence to protests where he brought blood-stained pigs to parliament. Critics accuse him of crossing the line, but he insists it's art, political expression meant to provoke thought, not violence.
Because you see, generally, give me an example. I've never propagated violence against anyone. Actually, if there's a peace ambassador in this country, it's Boniface Mwangi, because I spent over 10 years traveling in this country, showing pictures of post-election violence and preaching peace. The work that I do is calling out bad leaders and bad leadership and holding the government accountable. We were trying to portray members of parliament and how greedy they are by showing them the equivalent of pigs. And that is why today you call a politician MPig or MPigs. The truth is, the Kenyan politician or the Kenyan political class are as greedy as those pigs. That was what we're trying to illustrate. I did not call for anyone to be harmed, actually.
But even he admits there is a line when online attack into dehumanization. When bloggers Photoshop him as the devil with horns, he calls it what it is: hate speech.
I've seen those fans and horns. Yes. That's not that. That's hate speech, but it was done by the state, and it doesn't bother me. You can say whatever you want to say about me, I don't care. But I think it's just trying to break my spirit by portraying me as the evil person and as a bad person, but it doesn't bother me.
Despite years of abuse, he says he has only sued one person, where he sued David D for false claims that he was paid to protect the Constitution.
No, I look at it, the only person that I've sued actually legally right now is David D. After I lied that we were being paid when we were doing the BBI, I was part of Linda Katiba and we were trying to protect the Constitution. And then David D said that allegedly we were paid by Ruto, and so I sued him for that because it's a lie. But basically I will not sue some idiots on social media. It's not worth your time. I think we should learn something from Raila Odinga. He had many flaws, but Raila Odinga died without suing anyone. Not even Miguna went after him, and many others who attacked him. So you just decide, let people have their say. You can have you'll have your way. They can say whatever they want to do. Just stay on the path. So I believe in freedom of speech, and I also believe that everyone has a right to be an idiot.
But in the age of virality, hate speech doesn't always come from politicians. Sometimes it comes from the crowd. Shakira Wafula went viral after standing her ground during a protest, telling a police officer she was going nowhere. For a moment, she became a symbol of courage.
You know, funny thing, I'm not new, but it never gets easier. Okay, now we start. My name is Shakira Wafula. I'm an active citizen / fitness instructor / noisemaker or ule msichana wa maandamano, ule msichana nitoe baba, the guy with the flag ndo mimi. Actually, majority of the response that I got was like a lot of support, a lot of people saying I've inspired them, a lot of people saying like if it wasn't for me, the next maandamano, because the next maandamano now is like the main one, June 25th. Nilikutana na watu wengi, they're like, kama si wewe singekuwa hapa leo, and I was like, I'm happy to have contributed, to have played a role in making June 25th like a historic moment for our country.
For many, her defiance shattered the fear Kenyans have historically associated with police.
My understanding of our freedoms, the only limitations to our freedoms is when you're hurting somebody else. And from that speech, I wasn't actually hurting anybody. But my fear was the fact that historically, police in our country don't respect our rights and freedoms. So I was like, huyu akishikwa tu na wazimu zenye zinawashikanga aniamulie tu mimi nimeisha. But ni zile za kaa ngumu. Kaa ngumu uone venye itakupeleka. And lucky for me, he was like, I think hata yeye alishanga, alikuwa like, so surely akamweka tu akatani.
But months later, after meeting the Dutch king and queen as a youth leader, the internet shifted. The praise turned into punishment. The internet celebrated her until it turned.
How it was communicated by this person was not true in the first place. It had a lot of lies. Clearly alikuwa na agenda yake, and unfortunately that agenda prevailed, the propaganda prevailed, and it had a number of people turning against me. People were abusing me, people were sending me like mean messages, cursing me, my parents, my children, my children, and it was crazy.
Support became harassment. She watched people who once celebrated her courage become part of the mob attacking her.
From that experience now, actually, I've been able to navigate through the internet in a different way. Because previously I would take a lot of interactions on the internet very personally. But now nimeweza ku separate. Like there's
There's Shakira, the icon or whatever people identify me with, and then there's Shakira me. So the only people I can take their comments personally are the people who actually know me personally and we've interacted personally. The rest, it's all part of the propaganda, the media spin, topics, nini. I'm learning how to like navigate life on the internet like that.
She now draws her own boundary between criticism and hate.
Move with that, like it is their pain they're projecting, it has nothing to do with me. And I truly prayed for some of the people, like I hope they'll be able to heal and recover from whatever it is that causes them to come with such hate speech. Actually, to be honest, in all my experience with the internet, that was the worst time for me, to the point of I had to switch off my phone for like 2 or 3 days because somebody shared my number online and was actually directing people to attack me. Unaona kusalimiana, mimi alisema nisalimiwe, and Kenyans know how to salimia you proper, and it was quite unfortunate.
She points to kusalimia, digital doxing, popularized during Gen Z activism, as a dangerous moment where expression began to eat itself.
If you look at the Cybercrime Act, like the original bill, it's actually a good thing, but the new additions that came up, they came up because of the result of kusalimia. And to be honest, iyo kusalimiana, if you think about it, like we were edging on our limits of our freedoms.
So what does the law say?
You know, you have to go back to the Constitution, okay? Like a lot of hate speech is connected to politicians, and so the Constitution provisions are Article 91, which actually says they can't do that. They can't have militia, they can't have that kind of hate speech, they can't divide people, they have to observe human rights. If you are a politician and if you're an officer of a political party, you have violated the Constitution. Depending on what is said, hate speech can result in criminal prosecution.
Former Chief Justice Willy Mutunga says
hate speech is not just a moral issue, it's a legal one. He explains that while freedom of expression is protected, it is not absolute. He explains that criticism of leaders, projects or policies is legitimate, but speech that humiliates or incites violence against communities carries consequences.
Okay, you can criticize the president, you can criticize the political parties, you can criticize programs, you can critique the policies, whether it's foreign policy and so forth, right? Because the Constitution guarantees what is called public participation.
When I asked him about a governor's statement that offended the Maasai and the Luo community,
Mutunga draws a clear distinction.
Na tuko tayari hizo na William Ruto tumane tuota Maathai na Thurare.
But that is not hate speech.
He came on fire that it was.
He came on fire because he is uncouth and he is abusive, he doesn't respect other cultures and so forth. But he can always come and say it's kind of an expression that is understood within the Kikuyu community, and he was talking to the Kikuyu community that understand what that means, okay? Kind of embarrasses, the Maasai. They wear underwear now and they wear trousers and so forth, so why would you use this? But I can understand as metaphors within a community, because you have to realize, apart from freedom of speech, we're also supposed to exercise our cultures and our languages without limitations. So metaphors and whatever. That's why I was saying it's always good to to basically say, let's look at who is complaining. If the Maasais felt that they were demeaned, then everything is anchored in the law. And this guy will come and say it's freedom of speech. And where I come from, we have that saying among the Kikuyu. So, yeah.
Then
I don't know. I think that's freedom of expression. It's political opinion. Okay, it's just saying that there is a situation now, a political situation that has been caused by Raila's death. All right, and if we say thank God, okay, thank God, again, it's very uncouth and stupid. Yeah, it's very insensitive and so forth. But I'm not going to drag him to court to the Commission for Hate Speech. There are a lot of people who are reckless, and we have to keep them within the freedom. Because the moment we start restricting these little things that you have mentioned, all right, they are important, all right, I've said that. But the eyes on the prize is the freedom of expression. Yeah. It's a kind of thing that I think the political parties themselves, if they were institutions, they would deal with it.
This raises a difficult question. Is hate speech determined by who is hurt or by the intent and impact? The National Cohesion and Integrated Commission's mandate is to promote national unity and prevent hate speech and discrimination among Kenya's diverse communities.
Hate speech is hate speech. Somebody utters cause feelings of hate or against a particular, then that amounts to hate speech. Now, hate speech, the words must be insulting words. They're either insulting, abusive, and they must be on the basis of ethnicity. For me, that is the basis of hate speech. The words must be insulting, abusive, and on the basis of ethnicity.
An instance where I experienced hate speech. So it was like the coming out of the movement that I was spearheading. A lot of people called me a witch and Illuminati, just because I held a stand against the church. I was called a witch. Getting that was crazy. I lost family members, but I rebuilt those relationships later on because I did understand that their hatred did not come from them not liking me, but it came from their social background and social programming.
Hate speech is actually used intentionally to provide information that is not factual, to create animosity amongst people, whether it's communities or different groups of people. It is actually used to disinform, create panic, and generally get communities to align with what the person wants them to align to.
IMLU's Wangeshi says hate speech affects not just individuals but families and the entire community. She points to tactics used during the Gen Z protest, language designed to intimidate and fluctuate solidarity.
When, for example, fear has been created, and one example that I remember very, very clearly is when somebody said that we will ask our young men to actually go to Nairobi and ensure that we will actually beat and rape women who come out during the protests. So number one, you cause panic and people begin to fear, and so you are actually silencing them. So it's a tactic that is used to silence people. But what does it also do? It causes opportunists or people who take advantage of certain situations, and especially criminal gangs and other politicians, to utilize opportunity to then use the message you have created through that hate speech to become a reality. Women begin to fear, they get into emotional distress, you actually silence their voice, you silence their right to expression and to participation in different spaces. And then number two, it actually can manifest into mental illnesses.
She believes institutions exist to act, but often don't.
One of the things we are very sad about is the inaction by the mandated institutions to ensure that the people who are perpetrators of hate speech are apprehended, they are prosecuted, and convictions are made.
On the Cybercrime Act, she says the law missed the mark due to flawed process.
So we've seen an actual warfare, we call it warfare, the use of laws to undermine the safeguarding of the Constitution. So we're actually very worried about what it has turned out to be. It is not what was intended.
I spoke to James Oyande following NCIC's launch of the social media monitoring guidelines.
The challenge is that a lot of hate speech that we're now noticing has shifted to social media, because social media, there is no editor, for example. So anybody can post whatever it is they want. There's nobody who will be there to monitor what they say. So this document entails how different entities can monitor social media to enable them to detect hate speech and radical ideologies. The document also entails different levels of risk that may emerge during the monitoring, and then what these entities need to do.
At NCIC, politicians are often summoned to explain themselves, not punished.
If you look at the NCI Act, the first port of call for the Commission is usually what is known as conciliation. The Act actually mandates us to do conciliation before we proceed to court. And instances where an accused person is not willing to do conciliation, or if we invite them for summon them and they don't come, then we complete the file and we forward it to the ODPP. It's at that point that the ODPP has the mandate to decide whether the evidence that NCIC has collected is sufficient to sustain a case in court. Maybe that is where the issue being that we have to do conciliation. I don't think there's anybody who is overly powerful and cannot be summoned. As a commission, we have regularly summoned all politicians. Anybody who has been accused of hate speech, they have been summoned. Some of them would maybe not honor summons, but it's important to know that summons are just one form of investigations. Summons usually are just an opportunity to give an accused person an opportunity to explain their side of the story.
NCIC is pushing for tougher penalties and even vetting of candidates before elections, arguing that reconciliation alone is no longer enough.
Two things. The bill, first of all, doesn't give us powers to prosecute. I think prosecutorial powers are mandated under the ODP and under the Constitution. But the bill will enhance the penalties that are under hate speech. As of at the moment, I think it's a fine of 1 million shillings and imprisonment of 3 years, which don't act as deterrents. So part of the amendment is seeking to enhance penalties for hate speech so that can act as a deterrent. Because as it is, the penalties that are under the current act do not act as a deterrent. So that's one of the things that we're seeking to do, is to enhance the penalties under hate speech. One of the other things that we've proposed is to give NCIC the power to vet politicians or anybody who is seeking either elective or appointive positions. If NCIC is given that power to be able to vet these people seeking either elective or appointive posts, then we'll be able to tame a lot of this negative rhetoric.
Across these voices, activists, citizens, judges, and regulators, the one truth emerges: freedom of expression is essential. But expression without responsibility becomes a weapon.
Now, when it comes to hate speech, I really don't think you guys need to go to that direction. I think you need to first of all sit down with the person. If you can't have a sit down, just find a way and contact them.
Please monitor and document anything you hear that is being said, which you know is actually meant to incite people against each other. Document it and share. Do not worry, don't get tired of sharing. Please document and share, but document facts. Somebody has said this, document it and pass it to the institutions that are mandated to work on that.
Sisi kama wananchi tusikubali kutumika, because that is what the politicians do towards elections. They instigate issues so that there is hatred and clashes between people along lines that essentially should not be there. You find that people wameishi vizuri, they are neighbors. Towards elections, they cannot even talk. They are now fighting. So hapo usikubali kutumika vibaya. We are all brothers. We all belong to the same tribe, which is Kenya. Tunasema #tribeless. Elections tuende na hii. Hii tuweke kando kidogo.
Chukua kura, kila mtu afaa kuwa na kura. Chukua kadi yako ya kupiga kura, kila mtu akuwe kadi. Ndio 2027 you can choose the leader you want. Kura yako ni siri yako, lakini kabla ukuwe na siri lazima ukuwe na kura. Chukua kura ndugu yangu.
Kenya's future depends on not silencing voices, but on refusing to dehumanize one another. Criticize power, question authority, express yourself boldly, but never forget, words can either build a nation or destroy it. Reporting for Ghetto FM in collaboration with the TVK, my beautiful name is Shade Collins Macharia.
Tunaona, tunasikia na tutabonga.